Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for joining me today in this video. So in today's video, we're going to be doing more of a conversational style response video to Jgigs calling out, as well as not necessarily talking specifically about Jgigs video specifically, but we'll just go over some things in Raid that obviously echo his concerns, and we'll try to do it in kind of an objective way, obviously try to maintain as little bias as possible. All right, so first things first, so Jgigs kind of call out to all content creators saying we need to take a stand against Plarium to kind of get them to change their ways. I think it's really difficult to obviously amass the masses to join in a common cause. That's going to be difficult to get everyone on board, and then obviously the impact of everybody being on board has to be pretty significant. I don't think the YouTube community of viewers, content creators, and all that really make that much of a difference to Plarium overall, because I feel like they have a pretty good idea of how the community feels, but their actions and the actions of the player base do not reflect the loudest voices in the community. So I am a Reddit moderator for the subreddit. So I do have kind of a different pulse than the content creators as well, in addition to being a content creator myself. I can tell you guys, in content creator, everyone is very vocal. They like to talk about the issues of the game, and we are verbalizing it to the community managers, and of course the community managers will know will know the issues way more than probably the developers, right? Because they have to relay this message, but they get it direct. So the community managers get it directly from the content creators, and then they have to relay it to the whatever team, game developer or whatever. So everything that Jgigs kind of talks about in his video really stems from what I was talking about in my other video about their fiscal year-end report, and that is that Plarium/Raid makes a ton of money for the game, and whatever they're doing is working and continue to work. And we've been saying things constantly to the kind of like the closest people to us from Plarium, which is the community managers, and all they can really do is relay that information to the relevant personnel, and then they have to make the decisions. A kind of calling boycott, kind of don't do spending, don't do fusions, I think it's a hard sell. People are adults, content creators. At the end of the day, if you don't like the game, just you gotta unplug your channel, right? If you don't like the game, you gotta unplug your channel. So if you have your channel still up but you still hate the game, you're probably doing it for other reasons, which is probably what other reasons, right? Monetary, that's a big one. You make money from videos, you make money off the covering the game or whatever. So I think if you wanted to make a big change and you really don't like the game, I think you have to speak by not covering the game anymore. Move on to another game. I think what we can do as content creators is provide our audience with the information so that they can make an educated decision for themselves. It's not, people that watch content creators are not the people that are making ill-advised decisions. Content creators provide information, they make the decisions, they are advised. They are grown people, right? They can make their own decisions. So, and no one shamelessly pumps things that are not good, at least from what I see. And I'm probably I'm still a relatively new content creator. So for me, I was a viewer first, of course. So as a viewer, I consumed a lot of content. And from watching content creators, I don't believe that anyone shamelessly pumps things that are not good. So not things that they would participate in themselves. Like an example would be like I remember, I think, sorry, Hell Hades probably did something with, I think, Elva as well. I think one of the content creators said Elva was too expensive for 20 sacreds, and then he actually didn't, participate in the event. 20 sacreds at that time was an increase from the standard 15 for a guaranteed legendary, and then he made his own personal stand, and that's great. Like, if you feel strongly about something, then make your own personal stand. But I think to enforce that on your audience is a bit too much. So you can all, like, you can inform them, hey, I'm going to do this, and then they can make their own decisions whether they want to participate or not. Most recent controversy is like the Xena Pass. This sets a precedent where you can just pay for a champion. Not really, because the previous battle pass also gave you champions as well. It was just higher value. The Xena Pass was viewed as very poor value, although you still get a champion at the end, which is probably better value than buying shards for that champion. I've gone over that in another video as well. I think that's kind of silly that people would totally boycott Xena, which is actually a probably A+ champion, and instead they'll rather buy like 5 sacred shards and throw them into the wind for a 10x. And 90% of the time you probably wouldn't get anything good, and then 99% of the time you won't get anything better than Xena. So it's kind of weird. It's weird, but it is what it is, right? People want to spend the money on whatever they want to do. But if you feel strongly about it, then totally up to you to withhold your funds, right? So I guess let me summarize this Jgigs video. So basically, like, I think it's not going to produce much, even if every single content creator was saying don't do this, and then they actually followed through with not doing this. Maybe if they all shut down their channels, that would probably do something. If they all shut down their channels and their viewers had literally nothing to watch, maybe that'll do something. Maybe that will actually speak for something. But because their livelihoods are attached to YouTube, then it's very difficult to make that level of movement by not spending themselves. Most of them probably don't spend anymore anyways. They probably done their spending in the past, right? For me personally, I speak with my wallet already. I'm already free to play. I try to play this game as free to play and show others that how to do it as I would do it. So it gives them at least something that they can maybe aspire to as a free-to-play player. And of course, obviously I have super endgame stuff and whatever, but if you were a previous spender, you can definitely become free-to-play and still manage this game perfectly fine. So anyway, so that's that topic. I want to go over some other things that I've been, kind of in that same lane of thinking about complaining about raid and all that stuff. So there's been some... So I want to talk about this summon rush for this fusion. So we got 3 tiers of fragments. This has never happened before. So 5, 5, and 10. It used to be 5 and 15, a single 15. So not only have they raised the price of the final fragment 3620, it used to be 3500, which is already raised from previous 2500. It was about 2500 about a year ago, and somehow it's 3620 right now. So the significance of 3 fragment rewards is that it takes away 1 reward from us. Think about it that way. What if this fragment was 50 gems or something, or 80 gems, or whatever, a mortal soulstone? That'd be nice. That's me dreaming. But basically this is Plarium squeezing a little bit more resources out of the pool for us, especially for free to play. This is what we need, right? We need this to continue to play this game at a high level. But for me personally, I definitely feel the squeeze of some of these fusions, especially in terms of resources required to complete them. So this is one gripe I have. Next up, to champion training. So again, champion training here. We have this Lego book super high. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 15,000 in the future, because these books are getting ridiculously high. It used to be 10,000, and in the tournaments it is 10,000. However, in this event it's 1475. It's like, and it's been around this level for most of the fusions for a while now. Like For me, when I see this, I don't ever go for this 14,000 book. I'm just stuck here. I'm done. After this, I'm done, because there's so many training events, and they actually provide you some, good rewards sometimes. So you want to, like, you're not gonna have enough food, right? As like a free-to-play player, I just don't have enough food. I don't have enough shards. I don't pull enough shards, right? To supply all these training events. So, for example, like that Mighty Uko one that gave you the 4-star or 3-star, 2-star, those are some really good rewards, considering that how strong blessings are. But you just would be hard pressed to have this much food ready for all these training events. And this is just another one of those gripes that I have about this game. It's definitely heading in a direction where it's trying to squeeze resources out of events, forcing you to commit more resources, and then pushing thresholds higher, again committing you to more resources. Just a quick comment here about the dungeon diver. Standard 3700 for the shorter dungeon diver. I mean, let's be real, guys. Like, this was 1,000 less like a year ago, and these dungeon divers are super expensive for energy. It's just not easy to do without lots of energy saved in the inbox or lots of gems ready to go. I mean, there are additional avenues to get energy, but it's not always available. For example, the most obvious one would be the clan shop. Clan shop gives you energy. I've already spent it, but that's the most obvious boost, but that's not always there. This is an obvious boost, the bazaar. I've already spent it. So, like, it's just not enough. And that's only one dungeon diver, and most events have 3 dungeon divers. So yeah, it's just another, pushing the goalposts more and more. So trying to get more resources out of us. All right, so I want to talk about the next gripe, I guess. I want to talk about how there's no champion chase tournament here. So it's actually a coincidence. Like, for me, this could be a coincidence, or it could be just good planning. But Plarium removed this champion chase right after this Kira event, where people could acquire the epics for the Mikage fusion. If people were smart and were good planners, they would have saved the fusion pieces to be fused for the next champion chase, which would have landed in a fusion event. And that's what, people were doing. But now they see the schedule and there's no champion chase event. I think they did this on purpose, because allowing the champion chase to exist in this schedule would basically mean there's 2 summon events, which means there would be more than 100 fragments for this champion, which means you can complete the champion chase and not complete the summon rush. And you would be totally fine for this whole fusion in terms of like summoning shards and summoning champions and all that stuff. But instead, they removed the champion chase. So I think they did this on purpose, because they knew that everyone would have the pieces for Mikage and they would save for this upcoming champion chase. Convenient coincidence? I don't know. But I'm kind of pissed off, actually, because I was totally expecting a champion chase so that I can fully complete with pieces without shards, and then I could save the top part of summon rush and then save some of my shards, because I know I was going into this pretty low on shards. Anyways, that's just something I noticed. Finally, guys, we're going to talk about the raid digest that just popped on Friday. I mean, this gotta be some of the stupidest stuff I ever read. Like, they gotta, like, on the surface level, they must think that, this works for people, right? Like, some of the stuff they say in here, it makes absolutely no sense. For example, they're nerfing the rare dwarf champion Madman because, it was designed before Hydra, blah, 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 it's doing things that are not intended, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you could say the same about Trunda, right? You could say the same about Trunda. But, ultimately, Plarium basically just shot themselves in the foot long ago, because they have a system with balancing where they can't nerf a champion properly. Because if they nerf a champion, it's obviously, people have invested resources, right? Books, chickens, energy, time, masteries, lots of stuff. And they can't properly nerf a champion because they won't refund or revert those resources to that player. They should have done this way back when. They should have, if they were nerfing a champion, they should revert that champion back to a 5-star sorry, five star, level 1, give you back all the books, give you back all your chickens, give you back whatever brews or that's worth, and then refund the masteries. They should have gave it all back. That would make balancing in this game possible. But the way it is right now, it is not possible. That's why they're not touching Trunda, they're not touching Yumiko. People paid big money for these champions, especially Yumiko. I mean, probably especially Trunda too, since Trunda is so old and Trunda was so meta back in the day. But they really shot themselves in the foot, like basically for forever. This cannot be reverted anymore. They can't do anything about it anymore. But they can't balance this game properly because the problem is Yumiko resetting herself, and that's creating, teams that are doing things that only they can do. Like you could kind of see the issue here, right? But they can't go back and revert these champions properly. So it really hinders future design, future content design, future champion design. And yeah, like they can't. It's just a big mess, a big circus right now. And Hydra's a bit of a joke. But end game stuff is tied to Hydra, so people that want to do that stuff is forced to participate in this circus, right? But that's my huge gripe. That's probably the biggest mistake they ever could do. Any nerf will be viewed negatively because they cannot refund you. They cannot refund you. So that's a big problem, especially on the balancing front. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the Gear, so the current fusion, the Worm Eater. So they were talking about his passive, and it makes no damn sense, man. Like, another important point to keep in mind about this champion is that while his passive skill, Scourge of Dragons, normally reacts to enemies' active revive skills, including the Golem's Frigid Vengeance, it also can be triggered by Lydia's Death Siren self-revival passive skill as an exception. Why? Why are there exceptions in this game? It's so ridiculous. Like, what you type, it does not necessarily mean what it means. There are exceptions. Yes, there's lots of exceptions in this game. It's random. Like it really bothers me that this game cannot get that right. Make no exception so that when you're reading it, there is no question. There is no question. That like those are things that it's like when you're seeing it in action, it's like, oh, is that an exception, or is that the way it's supposed to work? I don't know anymore. Anyways, and then I guess the best news in this whole digest is that next CVC is non-personal rewards, which is good. And oh wow, we have longer intervals between these kind of events. I mean, they're framing it as a positive, giving us a break. That kind of gives you an idea of how it's been lately. Anyways, guys, that's going to be my gripes and my kind of response to the state of Raid. If you don't like the game, hang them up. Personally, I still like the game. That's why I'm still playing. I still make content. I play this game regularly, and I'm very dedicated to playing the game at a high level. So I still enjoy the game even for all its flaws. I understand its flaws. But I think I would feel differently about it if I was a big spender in this game. But because I'm free to play, I can enjoy it in spite of all its flaws. I encourage you guys to maybe think about dialing back the spending. Why not? Why not? But you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Do what you guys enjoy. If you guys enjoy the game, I love it. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your time as always. And, have a great weekend. Enjoy the game. And I'll see you guys in the next video.